One of U.S. President Joe Biden's famous pet phrases is, "America is back." This week, those words came true.
U.S. troops scrambled to evacuate as Taliban took control of the presidential palace.
It reminds me of a similar scene when wild protests took place in America this year. By the way, in conservative media reports, those people are called angry civilians who were just having a bad day. But for the Taliban, who had been having bad days for decades, the U.S. administration spent 20 years eliminating them.
What?
Now, at a cost of $2 trillion and 2,400 dead troops, the U.S. decided, or more precisely, was forced to withdraw. At the right beginning, the U.S. launched the war in Afghanistan in the name of anti-terrorism. Now let's take a look. After its 20-year efforts, the number of terrorist groups in Afghanistan has gone from single digits to more than 20. Meanwhile, more than 100,000 Afghan civilians were killed or wounded, and 11 million people went homeless. The war cost an average of $60 million a day, which made it a greater swallower of American treasure than the Vietnam War. Those failures tired everyone out, except the dogs.
During the evacuation, over 600 Afghans crammed into a U.S. cargo plane, yet U.S. military dogs sat on the reserved seats of a passenger plane.
What?
The U.S. politicians were like, what's the problem? They're our troops too. They got the seats for their outstanding service in the war. And the dogs went, America first. Ow. Okay, American dogs first. But the problem is, it creates chaos in the animal world. Think about it. Once the American dogs are given the thought that they're the first, they really need to figure out if they're approaching others from a position of strength. While the troops were being evacuated to safety, the U.S. administration had been repeatedly claiming that it was no way a Saigon-like exit.
Let's take a step back. This is manifestly not Saigon.
If it's not Saigon, Mr. Secretary, is it Baghdad, Havana, Damascus? Yeah, the U.S. has fought so many wars around the world for all sorts of reasons. When asked which was the reason for the war in Afghanistan, President Biden was like,
for two reasons. One, to...
Now we see when a person blinks rapidly, his brain is working really hard. Anyways, whatever the reasons are, one thing's for sure. No one's winning this war, but at least we're learning. 1. Facing disasters, don't count on a superpower, which brings a super disaster. 2nd, seeking for nation building, now you know whose door you shall never knock.